Welcome to the Love Mondays podcast. My goal is to bring inspiring and authentic guests on the show who can have a profound impact on my viewers and listeners. They can help everyone love their Mondays and be truly excited and intentional about the way they live their life every day. My guest today is Dr. Nancy Mackay. Nancy is the founder and CEO of Mackay CEO Forums, and her dream is to populate the world with inspiring leaders. For nearly 20 years, Mackay CEO Forums offers confidential peer support to hundreds of CEOs, executives, and business owners across Canada. Nancy is a CEO coach, forum chair, dynamic keynote speaker, published author, and a former university professor. In my short time knowing her, I really admire how committed she is to her vision, as well as how she talks the talk and walks the walk. Nancy is also very involved in supporting the community around her and uses her platform to help folks in need. She serves on boards, volunteers, and puts the spotlight on folks who are making a difference. Nancy, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Ron. So excited to be here with you.
Amazing. So Nancy, I want to help more people love their Mondays or make Mondays as exciting as Fridays. So what's your advice to help people who perhaps don't love their Mondays right now?
Well, for me, Ron, it's all about passion and really feeling like you're making a difference in the world. And so it's funny to hear you say love Mondays as much as Fridays. And to me, I love every day because every day gives me an opportunity to make the biggest difference for my family, my husband, my kids, our Mackay CEO Forums community, the volunteer work that I do. So, but it all starts with, and as you know, my passion is all about populating the world with inspiring leaders. And it's so lonely at the top, which is why I started Mackay CEO Forums nearly 20 years ago. And so there's like this huge, big problem that we can jump out of bed every morning and figure out how are we going to help the world be a more inspiring world. So that's my total passion. And I don't really reserve it for Mondays or Fridays. It's just every day of my life. How do I make a difference and really live my life on purpose and use my passion to make a difference in the world?
Yeah, I love that passion, making a difference. And so what advice would you give people to find that passion, right? I don't believe you're the person who pressed the snooze button. So tell me how people can find that passion.
I think one of the things, Ron, is to really dedicate time to reflect on what is it that gives you positive energy and what are the things that don't give you that positive energy, and who are the types of people that you want to impact. So for example, I mean, you're such an amazing human being, Ron. You dedicating your career now to on the journey with me as a forum chair to populate the world with inspiring leaders, and with your clients. I know they all rave about you, and because you're making such a huge difference. And so I want to connect with people that want to make that huge difference, and we have that in common, and do everything I can to help you be successful. And how do I know that I love working with our chairs and with our community? Well, I've stopped to reflect over, as I've built this company with our team and what have you, is, okay, who are the types of people that I really want to serve? Who are the people that I want to really spend most of my time with? And then over my career, I've thought about, okay, who are the types of people that I'm not ideally suited for? I mean, I love my kids, and being a mom is the best thing in the world, minus the teenage years. And I say this to my kids all the time. So I am not wired to teach and help like teenage kids. It's not my sweet spot. I'm so grateful that there's people on the planet that love working with, teenage kids. And so it's really reflecting on and then making decisions around, okay, I'm going to be spending more time with people and doing activities that really give me a lot of energy and that inspire me to raise my game. And honestly, ever since I was a little kid, I wanted to be a teacher. I just remember I grew up in a strict Italian Catholic family, and in Italian culture, you don't give gifts, you give cash. So growing up, I would always get at Christmas time cash. But one year, I said to my parents, I want a chalkboard because I want to be teaching other people, like kids or other people, right? I want to teach math. And I remember my parents going, what are you talking about? You're like 8 years old. And I said, I hope Santa Claus brings me a chalkboard. And so everybody else was asking for Barbies and things like that. I wanted a chalkboard. And I was so happy Santa Claus brought me a chalkboard, and I would go in my basement in small town Welland, and I would be teaching a fake audience, math. And so that started at a very early age, knowing that, okay, you know what? I don't know who I'm going to teach or how I'm going to teach, but like that. So a lot of the research shows that we know our passions and our genius and what we want to be able to develop at a very early age. We just don't listen to it. We don't reflect on it. And so, I've been teaching ever since. 40-year career. Every day of my life, I'm doing something that's involved in teaching and sharing knowledge and helping other people.
Yeah, no, I love that answer of going back and really reflecting and saying what gives you joy, who are the people you want to surround yourself with, and being very intentional with those choices, which is very, it's easy to say, very hard to do. So I really admire how you've done that. And I love how you talked about, wanting that chalkboard for Christmas and connecting the dots, right? As Steve Jobs talked about, connecting the dots backwards, right? And for me, it was a very similar story. About 3 years ago, I did a training course, and it was just a light bulb moment saying I'm a teacher in finance clothing, as opposed to a finance person who loves training, because I always tend to gravitate towards that. And it just helped me go on the path. So I absolutely love it. Okay, so I know you absolutely love what you're doing, tremendous energy. I see it every day when I interact with you. But was your path always like that? Did you always love your Mondays?
Well, I would say this, that I'm turning 59 this fall, and you've heard me say this before, that if you're in your 60s now, you have 50% chance of getting to 90. And so we all have a long runway if we take care of our health in terms of our career and what we're going to do. So on my 40-year journey, which I feel I'm just getting started because there's decades ahead of me to make a difference and what have you, is there were some Mondays, not just Mondays, could be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, where I had self-doubt, especially when I first quit my job to become an entrepreneur and talked to my husband into quitting his job. And I was like having panic attacks. So I was not enjoying Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I wasn't enjoying any day. So it's not like this is not a Pollyanna story where it's all rainbows and puppies. It definitely hasn't been that way. And what I've learned is when it's not a great day, or you're not feeling like you're jumping out of bed in the morning, making the biggest difference and feeling, oftentimes that's just need to work on my confidence, need to really remind myself of who I am and build on my strengths and build up my self-confidence to then be able to move on to either the next chapter or continue to on my learning and growth journey. So in the early days of my career, it would take me a lot longer to just really get past this, oh my gosh, I made a big mistake, or am I really doing the right thing, and second guessing myself, and am I really up for this? And so I've worked really hard during my career to learn new tools on how do I continue to build my self-confidence and build on my strengths so that I can make the biggest difference and enjoy every day of the week.
Yeah, I really love that. And I really appreciate how vulnerable you are. And just, I love how you're saying, look, it's not perfect for all of us. And we go through good times, we go through bad times. And again, I think it's back to that community you surround yourself to say, I need help, right? And I listened to another podcast that you recorded, and you talked about, I'm willing to ask for help when I can't solve something. And that's so important for a leader to be able to do that. Absolutely love it. So tell me about a couple of things that help you get over that self-doubt, or even, as you went through those panic attacks, who are the people and maybe the strategies to help you get to your best self?
Well, I would say this, that failure taught me to reach out for help and accept help. So when I first went off to the University of Waterloo to do my B Math and Business Information Systems, and I was a straight A student in small town Welland, and I was always like very disciplined and in everything I did, sports and what have you. And there I went off to the University of Waterloo, and within 3 months, like, I dropped out of university, and I just hated it. It was like a horrible environment. I was living in residence. I can just remember that. Like, I grew up in this small town, well, in strict Italian Catholic family, go to university in residence. People were drinking and partying and all night long, what have you. And I was like, what did I sign up for? And then I'd go to the classes, and the profs would get up there and say, 50% of you are going to fail by the time we finish this term. You're not going to, 50% of you are going to fail. And I just thought to myself, you know what, this is not for me. I made a big mistake. And I remember going to counseling services, and I said, I'm done. Like, I made a big mistake. I'm dropping out. And fortunately, the counselor there said to me, you see that lineup outside my door? All those people want to quit too. And so you're not going to quit. You signed up for co-op. You're going to go off on your work term. You're going to get your shit together. And when you come back, or you can write your exams while you're on your work term, and you'll come back and you'll settle in and you'll learn how to be, what have you, and make some different choices and move out of residence. And so she really helped me, give me the courage to, okay, I want to drop out. She said, I'm not letting you drop out. Thank goodness. Because then I went off to my work term and had a great work experience and got it together and wrote my exams and came back and got through and went on to do my master's and PhD. So failure, in a sense that I just wanted to quit, taught me that, but if I actually go and ask for help and get other people to help me get my head straight, and of course I had family support, then I can be successful. I just need to accept help, reach out for help. And life is not about being a straight A student and being perfect. Life is about, it's a bumpy ride. And so it's letting go of that whole perfection thing that I was trained in when I was growing up as a kid and what have you. And so you asked me about the panic attacks. And again, failure helped me learn to reach out for help. I remember having I thought I was dying of a heart attack. And I went to my doctor, who's now one of my closest friends in the world, Ruth McElrath. And I just said to her, I think I'm dying of a heart attack. And I was like 40 years old at the time when I quit my job and had 2 little kids and a big mortgage. And she said, no, you're not having a panic attack. Or you're not having a heart attack. You're just having panic attacks because you quit your job. You convinced your husband to quit his job. You have no financial certainty. You got these 2 little kids and a mortgage. And she said, I can give you drugs to help you with your anxiety. At the same time, you really need to figure out what's the difference you want to make in the world? What are your strengths? And she was a very successful entrepreneur herself, right? And my doctor. So she really helped me because I was ready to give up. I thought, I don't think I can do this. I think I have to go back to corporate life. I can't do this. She said, yes, you can. And she said, surround yourself with positive people that are going to believe in you. And through that really helped me. So again, when I really think about my 40-year career, the times where I was just ready to give up and I felt like I was failing and made a big mistake, I'd reach out for help, and somebody, as luck would have it, would be there for me to just help me get perspective. And so I'm just so grateful for everyone that helped me. And I want to help as many people as possible because so many people have helped me on my journey that I just want to be there for people that are in my community and in my life.
Yeah, no, I really admire that, Nancy, because, when I first got introduced to you, you're the CEO of Mackay CEO Forums. You're a game changer. I see you speak in front of 400 CEOs confidently. So it's really great to tell your story and say, look, it was a bumpy ride and I've had lots of help along the way, your guidance counselor, your doctor. I absolutely love that story because, look, we all go through that anxiety. Even Nancy Mackay, who's the CEO of Mackay CEO Forums, and let's ask for help and build some tools to get through that. Okay, so I love your story of when you made that decision to quit corporate with Rob, your husband. Can you tell that story for us?
It's a fun story to tell. It was painful at the time, bumpy ride, but yes, I can remember that Rob and I, we had these 2 little kids and this huge mortgage in North Vancouver, and we went on a date night at the Hurricane Grill in North Vancouver. And so there we were on our date night, and we literally had a $50 a month diaper budget and a $50 a month wine/entertainment budget. And we were working full time. He was a banker, I was a professor. And so they were at the Hurricane Grill, both so exhausted and sleep deprived and what have you. We open up the first bottle of wine and order our dinners. And I looked at my husband. I said, you know what? I think it's time. You need to quit your job as a banker. It's sucking the life out of you. I'm getting bored as a professor, and I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. And we're going to quit our jobs, and we're going to have a lot more fun. We're going to make a lot more money. We're going to travel around the world with our kids, and we're just going to make a big difference in the world. And my husband's a finance MBA, and you can relate to this, Ron. You
Yes.
Guru finance CPA guy. So Rob's like, what? There's no way in hell we're going to do that. We've got these two little kids. We got this big mortgage. Like, what are we going to do? Like, we don't have a clue. And so by the end of the second bottle of wine, I convinced him this is what we were going to do. And so we toasted and he said, let's do this. And so that was the beginning of, Mackay Forums, because he then quit his job first, and I was still had my professor job. But I knew then that it was time for me to be planning my exit. And shortly after, I quit my job. And then that's when the panic attacks for 90 days happened, because I realized, what have we done? And we have these two little kids, and how are we going to do this? And then again, this is where my doctor helped me. And then I met Alan Weiss, who is $1 Million Consulting, one of my long-term mentors. And I met him at a conference, and he was talking about $1 Million Consulting and how you can be making a difference in the world as a solo practitioner. And this is something that he had done, and he's 20 years older than I am. And I thought, this guy's got a roadmap to success. And if I can just learn everything that he has done, all of his books and everything, then I can too, hopefully I can be successful. So he was a game changer in my life, in a sense that his tools helped me build $1 Million Consulting practice as a solo practitioner with Rob. And then I lucked out and got invited to be a speaker at a CEO peer group meeting in Vancouver. One of my clients was a member. I didn't know what these peer groups were, and that changed my life forever, because once I became a speaker, I became a speaker with that CEO group. The guy who was chairing that group was retiring, and they said, we loved your presentation. Do you want to throw your name in the hat? And again, that just changed my life forever, because then I realized it's so lonely at the top. And if what I can do is help CEOs become more confident and have more courage to not only be successful in business, but also take care of their health and their personal and family relationships, then I want to do this forever. I literally, once I learned about peer groups, I just thought I had to do another date night with Rob. And it's not like we have 2 bottles of wine every night, but we've done that twice. Once was when I convinced him that we need to quit our jobs. And the second time was when I said, I want to build a peer group organization, and we're going to build these groups across the country, because I don't want CEOs to be lonely and what have you. And he looked at me and said, what, are you crazy? Like, how is this going to work? We've got this successful business. Why would we do this? And after that second bottle of wine, he said, all right, then, if that's what you want to do, we're going to do it. And so, marrying well has, no kidding, been the best decision of my life. Rob's my husband and business partner, and he just has always really believed in me, and went along with my crazy ideas, which has led to Mackay Forums and where we are today with 1,200 members across the country, and amazing forum chairs like you, Ron, that are every day populating the world with inspiring leaders and making a difference in the world.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I've met Rob, and I feel like he's a perfect complement to you. Your energy is kind of offset, and I think you probably bring different strengths to the table at different times. And so I'll go back to that first date night with 2 bottles of wine, and maybe the second one as well, and say, what gave you the courage to go forward with that, right? Because the next morning the wine's worn off, and you still went forward with that, as well as the decision to start the KCO Forum. So what do you think gave you the confidence, courage to go forward with it?
I don't know if it's really confidence, because I feel like I've really spent a lot of my 40-year career, and I still continue to work on it, because what I've learned is Time you take on a new challenge, the imposter syndrome is going to get very loud, and your ego is going to want you to, not believe in yourself, and to just go like, who am I to even think about that? So I've done a lot of work. I've studied a lot. I've taught a lot about this. And so I've spent a lot of time figuring this thing called self-confidence. And there's still lots to learn. As you saw Dr. Joseph last week at the CEO Summit, most admired, and he talked about the confidence sheet. So I'm reading his book, and I'm going to park some time, and I'm going to do that. And I'm teaching my kids about the confidence sheet, and congratulating yourself about all your, so it's not confidence, because I always felt like I lacked confidence. And somehow it was more of a passion and a calling that enabled me to take the big risks and to play big, even though, it's like feel the fear and do it anyway. Even though I didn't feel I had the confidence, I had passion, and like I really wanted to, when we quit our jobs to become entrepreneurs and consultants, I thought, wow, I'm going to make a much bigger difference in the world if I can do this consulting work, and I can help hundreds of companies. And so it was like a calling to make a difference. And then I'm like, oh my God, what have I done? Building up my self-confidence, surrounding myself with mentors and other successful people. And then the second 2 bottles of wine, I had a lot of people saying to me, you're crazy. Like, what? How are you going to do that? Like, you don't know anybody across the country. And last time I checked, you're female in a very male dominated like CEO world. Like, what makes you think you're going to be building these peer groups for? And I just didn't listen to the naysayers. I just learned early on, like, just when you have something you're really passionate about and you really want to do something, you're going to have a whole bunch of people telling you, don't do it, you're going to fail. Don't do it. And they don't do it with a negative intent. It's just the risk that you take, and people go, whoa, like I would never do that. But the thing is like, you're not me. Like, I'm going to do it because this is who I am, and this is my calling, and this is what I want to do. And then having the courage to ask for help and surround myself with people who've been there and done that before, and just leading with generosity. Like, anytime I ask people to help me, I'm always leading with like, okay, Ron, I don't know how I'm going to help you. I need help. I need this introduction, or I need some advice from you, or what have you. But I promise you that I will find a way to help you and your family and what have you. So those are some of the things. So I don't think it was confidence. It was more calling and passion, and wanting to make a difference was a huge driver for me that enabled me to take these risks.
Yeah, there's so much there. Like, you talked about feeling the fear and going forward anyway with the right people around you. You talked about the naysayers. I felt that. So when I quit my finance job, I was on a pretty good path, doing really well. Feels like, what the F are you doing? Like, and they just didn't understand, but they were coming from a good place. So I totally agree with you there. And then it's those little things to build or to just be your best self, right? So Dr. Ivan Joseph, who we heard speak, fantastic. And I love that personal highlight reel to remind yourself of all the great things you've done on the path, right? So it's all these little rituals and routines that we build in that help us, right? And maybe I'll go a little deeper. Like, what do you do to get yourself in your best mode every day? Like, I know you're a very early riser. Do you have a certain routine in there in the morning?
I do. And before I go there, I want to go back and also just take a moment to acknowledge the impact that Rick Hansen has had on my life, because I met Rick Hansen, I know it was 27 years ago, because Rob and I were dating. We were both working at Ernst & Young, and Rick Hansen became a client of my husband. And Rob said, I need you to come and help me on this Rick Hansen project. And when I met Rick Hansen, again, that changed my life forever, because I thought to myself, this is a human being who is so inspiring, and he's made such a huge difference in the world. And I want to make a huge difference in the world. And I'm not trying to be Rick Hansen. I do want to, like, literally, once I met him, for the rest of my life, I am going to volunteer. I'm going to sit on nonprofit boards. I'm going to support the not-for-profit community, because there's people that dedicate their lives to solving like the biggest world problems. And so he had such a huge impact, and I've been a volunteer Now I'm on his campaign cabinet for everyone, everywhere, accessibility for people with disabilities and what have you. And he's just such an inspiring human being, so humble, and just really taught me that, like, hey, lead with generosity, make a difference in the world, you be you, and you can achieve unbelievable things in your life and your dreams. You just have to surround yourself with people that are going to believe in you way more than you believe in yourself to be able to make that difference. So Rick has been a huge influence in my life and continues to be. My morning routines are really important to me. I get up at 4 o'clock every morning, Monday to Sunday, unless I'm going to a hockey game, which, you know, we talked about the Stanley Cup this year. So if I'm going to a hockey game and I'm staying up later, then I'm going to sleep in a bit because I want to make sure that I'm the best version of myself every day. But people always ask me, why do you get up at 4 a.m? Number one, it's the best time of day for me. Like, I literally learned this at an early age when I was doing basketball training when I was in high school. And we'd have to get up and we'd have to be in the gym by 5 a.m. training for basketball. And I just thought, I just love early mornings way more. I would just get tired late at night, right? So getting up early, you can accomplish a lot, but you got to make sure you get enough sleep to be the best version of yourself, and make sure your health is going to be with you for the long term. So it's get up early. I'm usually on the Peloton or working out with my personal trainer or doing my Pilates. I do all that on Zoom now, thanks to COVID. I just learned that I can have a home gym and take care of my health and every day. So I work out every day. I make sure I get enough sleep. I work really hard at nutrition and longevity and protein and all those good things, and meditation, because we have to continue to build our mental toughness and our self-confidence every day to make a bigger difference. So those are some of the things that I do. And then I make sure that every day I spend time with my husband and my kids, because they're more important to me than anyone else in the world. And they just really matter to me. They give me pure joy. Not every day, minus the teenage years. That wasn't that joyful. But yeah, so whether I'm traveling or what have you, I'm always connecting with my husband and my kids and checking in and making sure that they're good. And of course, my family and people, a lot of people right now going through difficult health challenges. We know there's a mental health crisis. So there's certain CEOs going through some difficult times. So I'm checking in on the people that really need that additional just love and positive energy as they go through difficult times. And then when I'm feeling like I'm going through a difficult time, then I have people that I can check in and they give me positive energy, and that's how it all goes.
Amazing. I think I agree with everything you said, except the Canucks winning Stanley Cup. I think it's the Leafs year, hopefully. All kidding aside, I love all the concepts you talked about, right? Really knowing yourself and what's your best time. So if it's the night person, recognize that's your time. I love how you actually say, you know, at events, hey, I'm done for the night. I've got an early morning and I'll see you in the morning. And that's amazing to just say, I really need to take care of my physical, my mental health to be my best self. And even at an event last week that we were at together, the Waterstone Mackay CEO Summit, you actually reframed CEOs going well into their 70s and 80s. And I actually saw people take that comment and see their mind shift. And just that whole, you know, a lot of people, when they get to that stage, you talked about being 59. I had a former boss who was a CFO, and he used to tell me about age discrimination at that age. And I love the reframing and saying, look, you know, another person, I'm reading his book right now, who you know really well, Kevin Brady, talks about really taking charge of your health, your mental and physical health. And I'm glad you really, really talked about that to make it a focus, which is important. Okay, so the term game changer is something you use a lot, and you've already talked a lot about game changers. I have a coach, his name's Wayne Stark. He lives on Vancouver Island, and he helped me get through that period of, you know, entrepreneurship in the beginning, which I was getting many people telling me you can't do it. And he was like, we'll do this together, one step at a time, one line across the bridge. Like, he used a bridge as an analogy. So tell me what a game changer means to you. And maybe a couple other game changers you've talked about. I love the Rick Hansen story.
I'm just so grateful for all the game changers that I am surrounded with and have had on the journey of life, business, family, and personal. And how I define game changers, and at Mackay Forms, we've adopted this definition, is someone who has a proven roadmap to success and they're willing to share it. And we have a very humble culture at Mackay Forms. They're no better than anybody else. They happen to have a proven roadmap to success. So, I have a lot of passion around time mastery. I've been coaching CEOs and top executives on time mastery for 2 decades, writing a book on it and done a million workshops and what have you. And so it doesn't make me any better than anybody else. It just so happens that I have a passion around how can I help people master the time? Because when they master the time, they master their life. When you master your life, you're jumping out of bed Monday mornings and every day of the week and weekend, making the biggest contribution. So it's no better than anyone else. I have a parenting coach that really, no kidding, helped me get through the teenage years. I know you have younger kids, and I was just so grateful, because when I was having struggles with, oh my gosh, I must be a horrible parent. I've read all the parenting books, I've gone to the courses, and like, I'm really struggling. And someone said, I have a parenting coach. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to meet this person. And he literally guided us through those teenage years with the kids and all the bumps. And I just love him, Jim Skinner. I've recommended him to about 1 million people. And because he's just such a game changer, gave me that proven roadmap. And I have doctors in my life, a longevity doctor, Dr. Balpawa, who's one of our members, and Dr. Ruth Mackay, who like really helped me with my entrepreneurial journey. So it's any aspect of my life. When I look at it, if I set a goal, and we have this on our 90-day plans, business, family, personal goals, who's your game changer? There's somebody else on the planet who's been there and done that before, proven roadmap to success. Now, sometimes you have to pay for it. Other times you get it for free. It doesn't matter. And game changers can be all ages. I mean, like, my kids are game changers for me. They're in their 20s now, and they're so full of life and passion and all the things that they just inspire me every day to be the best version of myself. So if you kind of go through life, you can say, well, it's lonely. And it is. We have a loneliness epidemic. We've got mental health crisis and all of that. And it's because people don't have a mindset of, it doesn't have to be lonely. And you have to reach out and ask for help and connect with people, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, no, I really like that. And I like how you're saying you look for game changer, whether younger, older, different professions, personal life, professional life. And I think it's the modern CEO philosophy, which I absolutely love that you share, to say it's not just about work. It's not about compartmentalizing. It's about, we are all human beings. Let's help each other out through those issues. And my kids are squarely in the teenage years, so I know what you mean, but it's reframing it to say, I'm learning from them, more patience, and being able to support them in all the journey they're going through, because it's very hard as a teenager right now. So love that. And I love you said, hey, you reached out to a coach to help you through that tougher period, which is super helpful. So absolutely love that. Okay, leading with generosity. So, and I've seen you do this. So again, I've seen you walk the walk, talk the talk on this. Tell me about how you started being so generous with your time and contacting people and helping others. How did that start?
Well, I go back to Rick Hansen, because honestly, when I met him, and I just thought the difference he's made in the world and the number of people that he has helped through the Rick Hansen Foundation and through his speaking and his leadership and what have you, I just thought, I want to be able to make a difference in the world, and with the people that I have something to offer, right? And so that was the beginning of it. And then there's such a huge need for support, especially in the not-for-profit world. And so, as you know, since the day I started Mackay Forms 20 years ago, we sponsor a not-for-profit charity CEO or executive in every one of our 100+ peer support groups across the country. And we're a beneficial corporation, which means we take a stand on business as a force for good, and how we treat our people, how we support the not-for-profit sector, our commitment to D&I. So all those things is just a huge part of who I am. I mean, I really want to be making a difference. Business as a force for good. That's just so aligned with who I am and we are at Mackay Forums, as are you, every one of our amazing forum chairs across the country. You're all committed to supporting and serving and what have you. And then the reality is, there's so many not-for-profits that need help. So from a time mastery perspective, which I had to learn time mastery because of my whole career journey and wanting to raise kids and have a great relationship with my husband and impact people, I've really had to reflect on what are the things that really I'm going to have passion around, that then I'm going to want to dedicate my time and cut checks and do whatever it takes. So, for example, Pete Bombachi, who's a member of Mackay Forums, and he started the GenWell project. It's the human connection movement. And he's just so inspiring. And when he came to me and he said, I'm doing this, and he was kind of in startup mode, and I thought, oh my gosh, the world needs more human connection. So yes, I'll be on your board. Or when the Rick Hansen Foundation asked me to be on their campaign cabinet to raise millions of dollars for accessibility, and so everyone everywhere has access and can make the biggest contribution, it was like a no-brainer because I really believe in Rick and his team and what they're doing and the impact they're having in the world. So and I've had to say no to a lot of people. And when I say no, I just say, okay, it's not me, because I don't have the time capacity right now. I will help you find someone that is going to have that time capacity, commitment, whatever, passion. So I've always felt like saying no was much easier when I have a mindset of, I'm going to help you find somebody else. And so that's kind of how I've done it.
Yeah, fantastic. And funny enough, like Rick Hansen, there's a school right beside my house, which is Rick Hansen High School, and my wife actually taught there for a while, so I've seen the impact right across the country. And it's amazing what one individual can do if they really put themselves out there and commit themselves to a cause, which I frankly, I see you doing that, Nancy. So congratulations to you on everything you've accomplished that way. And then one of the other things that always sticks out to me is you use the term no judgment. And I was, considering Mackay CEO Forums to become a chair, and I had something going on in my personal life. I reached back out to you. I said, Nancy, I'm going through such and such. And you were just like, Ron, just take care of your personal business. Let me know if you want to come back to it, and let me know how I can support. And it really meant a lot to me, right? Because especially in my entrepreneurial journey now, I meet a lot of people, and it's very rare. So love that. Tell me a little bit more about the no judgment philosophy you have.
Yeah, I really want to live in a world that's judgment free, so that we treat every single person as a human being. Again, we have a very humble culture at Mackay Forums. Doesn't matter how successful you are as a CEO or top executive, you know better than anybody else. We go to our confidential peer group meetings. We just park our egos and we just talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. We share learnings from our mistakes, and we just treat each other as human beings. That's the world that I want to live in. Unfortunately, we have a long way to go, because you mentioned this, right, with the 100-year life, and there's actually a book, and I was talking about this last week when I was on the CEO panel, that there are a lot of judgments. Age discrimination is very real, and it's heartbreaking because we have this unbelievable talent pool of people that want to continue to contribute and what have you, but workplaces are not set up for multi-stage lives. It's like, okay, you study, you work, you retire, you die. That 3-stage life is dead. It's over. We now need to really think about how are we going to support people and have new people practices so that people can be contributing in their 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, however long they have their health and their passion. They might not be working as many hours, or they might want more flexibility, but it's a talent pool that I see it so loud and clear, especially given a lot of the CEOs in our groups are in their 60s, 70s, and now we're having people stay in their top jobs for much longer. So that's one aspect. And then, of course, I've been in a very male-dominated career my entire life. And my whole career, people have said to me, oh, like, you're the only female. What makes you think you're going to get to the top? Or what makes you think you're going to... And so for me, it's how do we just treat every single person as a human being? I don't look at you as, okay, you're a male and I'm a female, and who's better and who's not. And men or discrimination against men, they can't get on boards because there's all these spots for women, all this kind of judgment going on. It's like, I was so lucky. I met Dr. John Izzo, I think this was about 10 years ago. And I was having breakfast with him, and he's written many, many books, and he's a close personal friend of mine now. I remember him talking to me about, you know, he does these keynotes and he travels around the world and he's written all these books and the Purpose Revolution and many, many books. And I said, wow, that's very inspiring. What do you do when you're not doing the whole speaking thing and traveling around the world? And he said, well, I founded the Men's Initiative and on UBC campus, and the Men's Initiative is about helping men become better men. And this was when the Me Too movement was just like coming out and all this was happening. And I said, what? Men become better. Have you heard about the Me Too movement and all this stuff going on? And he said, yeah. And we need women to be working with men and helping men become better men. And I said, yeah, and we need men helping women become better women. And he said, and I'd like you to be on my advisory board because we need women. And I was like, what? I'm going to be on the board of the Men's Initiative. And my whole career, I've figured, like, how can I help women because they're disempowered and all kinds of things going on in the corporate world. And then I thought to myself, that was like, he's a game changer, right? Because he just reframed it for me that actually, if we actually work together and just treat each other as human beings and stop playing the blame game, but actually come together and figure out how do we change these systemic judgments and what have you, the world's going to be a much more inspiring world. So I was on his board for as long as he was still co-founder, and that was very inspiring work. And again, I really believed in John and his vision of making our world a more inspiring world. So I said yes to that, and then that was the beginning of my, like, really, how do I deeply learn how to create judgment free? And anytime I hear people judging other people, saying negative things about people and what have you, I just say, you know, judgment free. Like, what if you treated this person as a human being? Can you have an honest conversation with someone if you're not happy or if you're not feeling like you're being heard or what have you? We just need people having honest, judgment free conversations.
Yeah, no, I love that. And talking about, like, as individuals being judgment free and helping each other out, leading with generosity, and then you also talked about business for as a force for good. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, I lucked out. One of our members, this was back in 2017, one of our members reached out to me, and she was working full time as a CEO and she was doing her MBA part time. And she said, my executive MBA group wants to do a project on B Corp, beneficial corporations. And would Mackay Forms consider having us do a project? And I didn't know that much about it. I'd heard of the B Corp movement. And I said, well, sure, you know, I can help out. I used to be a professor. I taught executive MBAs. I know what that's like trying to get a project. Happy to help. And they came up with this brilliant report. And literally, I remember reading the executive summary on my flight to Toronto. And it just said, CEOs, if you take a stand, and this is a strategic planning framework for you to be able to take a stand on business as a force for good, and then you can be an exemplar to have other CEOs wanting to take a stand on that. And I just thought, this is no brainer. And the report was just brilliant. And so the next day when I got back to the office, I just worked with my team and I said, I want us to use this framework. I want us to become a B Corp so we can inspire our members to join the B Corp movement and to people, planet, profit, and diversity and inclusion, and taking a stand on every business. And I believe business leaders are our best hope for a more inspiring world. And we need all CEOs to step up, whether you get the certification or not. It's a great tool. Having that mindset of how can you have your business make a huge difference in the communities that you're doing business, in the world, and you as a CEO being an exemplar of, it's not just about money, it's not just about doing this thing called work, it's about corporate social responsibility and personal commitment to helping others.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I love how it, you know, being a force for good, and you can still deliver the profits, right? And so I remember back in my days at Kraft, the Hockeyville program that's still, you know, flourishing today, where it helps communities, but it also is a significant revenue driver, and it attracts eyeballs and dollars into the business. So there's a way to do great things and make money, right? Which is, you know, part of being a business. I absolutely love that. Okay, so absolutely love the fact that you talk about being a force for good. You've been doing Mackay CEO forums for a while. Any stories of, of how the forums have translated into amazing personal or professional success?
Well, I will say this because I'm still a forum chair of one of the groups that I started 16 years ago. And I'm just so grateful because as a forum chair, I get to spend 6 times a year for a day and do a 2-day retreat, as you know, with 14 amazing human beings, successful CEOs who are all coming together because they want to be the best version of themselves. And they have really helped me be the best version of myself as a chair. And they were there when I made the decision to, instead of just me doing these peer groups on my own, to become a CEO and scale Mackay CEO forums, which I really didn't know how to do it at all. And I just remember saying to them, look, I'm just telling you, here's what I want to do. Are you going to help me on this journey? So I just love each and every one of the members in my group because they've really helped. They're the reason why Mackay CEO forums really is what it is today, is my peer group that helped me learn and grow as a CEO as I listen to their stories. There's just a lot to, just by listening to other CEO stories. We hear this all the time, right, Ron? A member will say, I came to the table and, here was my issue. But once I started hearing everybody else's issues, I didn't even know I had that issue. But thank goodness now it is my issue and I'm going to go back and do something about it. So I was able to learn and grow simply by being the chair of this amazing group of human beings. And then I will say that our chair team, the dozens of chairs across the country, you're all amazing human beings. And I am so inspired by your commitment to serve CEOs and top executives where it's lonelier than ever at the top. And it's this perma-crisis world that we live in, COVID, and then we have this AI disruption and this exponential change and the mental health crisis. And it just goes on and on about, wow, how difficult it is. And then you people are just like, one day at a time, how can I help my members, my clients, and how can I serve the world? So, and I love the fact that chairs have no problem giving me feedback on what can I do to raise my game as a CEO, and the good, the bad, and the ugly. Like, hey, I'm so lucky. I have all these people that have extensive experience working with CEOs and executives helping me. And I got a long way to go, right? But I have a long runway too. So I'm a work in progress. And Ron, I promise every day I'm doing the best I can to be the best CEO for Mackay CEO Forums.
Yeah, no, and I really, really appreciate that. It's so refreshing to have a leader who's saying, I'm still growing, I'm still learning, and creating a culture where it's just a fantastic environment where we're all trying to learn and get better and serve others. And I have to acknowledge, folks like Laura Vaughn, who you brought in to be the Ontario lead for Forum Chair. She's been a massive, game changer for me. And she's created this whole community in Ontario. I know you're out west, so it's pretty cool to see how you've said, hey, I want to build in Ontario. You've brought in a game changer. You've invested in people. We just went through a whole bunch of training, which you've invested in us. So I congratulate you because I don't think it's luck. I think you created what you have. And I'm so fortunate to be in the room. And I'll tell you, my very first couple of meetings, Gary B coaching me. Thank you, Gary. And I felt tremendous anxiety. It's like, can I run this meeting with 12 CEOs? And you were always, you can do it. Run the program. We've talked about it. We've worked through it and it went really well. And now done a few times. And I've just reflect on and say, at the time, it felt like such a mountain, but all these people helped me get through it. And now being part of that group and being accepted and learning from everybody in the CEO group, it's just a fantastic experience. Okay, Nancy, congratulations on everything you've achieved. Anything else you want to share with my listeners?
I just want to take a moment to acknowledge you, Ron, for your dedication and commitment to doing this podcast and for interviewing people that are making a difference in the world. I love listening in on your show and the people that you've interviewed, and I love your passion and determination to make a difference in the world and everything you're doing to contribute to our Mackay community and inspiring me every day. And I love your feedback and your energy and what have you. So thank you so much. Such an honor to be on the journey of life with you. And for our listeners, it's, the big message is feel the fear and do it anyway. It's we all have anxiety. I listened to you saying, oh, you had anxiety in the first couple of meetings. Hey, 16 years later, I'm prepared for my CEO meetings when I have to go chair those meetings. I have anxiety around, okay, am I going to be the best version of myself? And how is this going to go? And am I going to be able to serve them? It never ends. So to me, it's all about the anxiety it's a good thing. It means you care about what you're doing. And so it's, and go for it and just surround yourself with people that are going to believe in you, more than you believe in yourself. And you'll be able to love your Monday mornings and every day of the week and weekend as well.
Amazing. Thank you, Nancy. I think that's a great way to end it. Go for it. And you're such an authentic person. You're a fantastic leader. I really feel privileged to be part of the Mackay community. And I love how you're saying it's a work in progress and we're just getting better with a growth mindset every day. So thank you, Nancy. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Ron.